The next reaction we consider under nucleophilic addition reaction is addition of alcohols. I'll start with aldehyde. I'll treat it with a monohydric alcohol. I'll represent that with the general formula R-OH. This reaction takes place only in the presence of dry HCl gas. That's what is so important under this reaction. This reaction is found to take place only in the presence of dry HCl gas, not even in the presence of dilute HCl. So what way reaction takes place? It is R single bond C single bond H, and I told you this double bond should become single. To negative oxygen gets attached as positive hydrogen, so it's a OH, and the nucleophile R-O minus gets attached to carbon. So what we get here is nothing but OR dash. So if you look at this molecule, remember this is nothing but alkoxy alcohol. You have an alkoxy group and you have an alcoholic group, and both of them are present on the same carbon atom. That is why we call it as alkoxy alcohol intermediate, and this intermediate is also called hemiacetal. So how to get hemiacetal? An aldehyde has to be treated with monohydric alcohol, one molecule of it, in the presence of dry HCl gas. What we are going to get is hemiacetal. Now, if you make use of excess of alcohol, reaction proceeds further. So we have R-OH. This reaction takes place, as I told you, in the presence of dry HCl gas. Now what happens is, even this OH group will be replaced by alkoxy group, OR dash. So we get RCH, and here we will have OR dash and OR dash. So what we have obtained here is geminal. It is a dialkoxy, geminal dialkoxy compound, and this geminal dialkoxy compound is called acetal if you are starting from aldehyde. So what is an acetal then? Acetal is the product formed when an aldehyde reacts with the two molecules of monohydric alcohol in the presence of dry HCl gas. This reaction takes place in two steps. In the first step, we get alkoxy alcohol intermediate, which is also called hemiacetal. In the second step, it reacts with one more molecule of monohydric alcohol, giving geminal dialkoxy compound, what is called acetal. If we consider this reaction with the ketone, it is observed that the reaction lies almost towards left. The equilibrium lies almost towards left. That is why reaction between a ketone and monohydric alcohol does not have any significance. On the other hand, a ketone can react with dihydroxy alcohols or dihydric alcohol like ethylene glycol, resulting in the formation of ketal. So to understand that reaction, I will consider a ketone. It is a RCOR dash. So this is a ketone, right? I'm going to treat it with dihydric alcohol example, simplest example that I can consider is ethylene glycol. So this is ethylene glycol. Reaction takes place in the presence of dry HCl gas. Dry HCl gas. So a molecule of water is removed. Oxygen from here and 2 hydrogens are removed. A molecule of water is removed. So what we get here is R single bond C, and we have R dash. Now one bond gets connected to O this side. So we have OCH2. Here we have CH2. Here oxygen plus a molecule of water is formed, and this compound, whatever is formed, is called ethylene glycol ketol. Ethylene glycol ketol. Now the question is, what is the role of dry HCl gas? In order to understand that, again, let us go back to the mechanism of the reaction. We have a carbonyl group, C double bond O. When the reaction is carried out in the presence of dry HCl gas, it furnishes H plus ion, and that H plus ion is attacked by the lone pair of electrons present on oxygen. So what we get is this species, you have a double bond, and oxygen forms a bond with H plus. That is why on oxygen you should have a positive charge. Now what happens? The pi electrons get shifted to oxygen carrying positive charge, because oxygen with a positive charge has an increased electronegativity. Electron hunger of this oxygen is increased. That's why it will pull the shared electron pi electron pair towards itself. So how can I represent the structure then? I can represent it like this. You have a carbon, we have 2 bonds, so it's a positive charge, and here we have single bond OH. So on oxygen we will have a 2 lone pair of electrons. In other words, in the presence of dry HCl gas, the electrophilicity of carbonyl carbon is increased, or electron deficiency on carbonyl carbon is increased. That is why a nucleophile can readily attack the carbonyl carbon. So what is the role of dry HCl gas? It increases the electrophilicity of carbonyl carbon by protonating carbonyl oxygen. But the interesting thing is, this statement cannot be a correct explanation, because the reaction is observed only in the presence of dry HCl gas, not in presence of dilute HCl. In dilute HCl, this reaction does not take place. If this were to be the case, the reaction should have taken place even in the presence of dry HCl, or even in the presence of dilute HCl, which does not take place. So in the NCERT textbook, they have just given this reason that it increases the electrophilicity of carbonyl carbon. The next important reaction we are going to consider is nucleophilic addition-elimination reaction of carbonyl compounds with ammonia and ammonia derivatives. There are so many reactions under this heading, but first I'm going to start with the general equation for the reaction. I start from carbonyl compound C double bond O. Ammonia derivative, I'm going to represent it as H2NZ. I can have various groups for Z, right? The reaction takes place in weakly acidic medium. Weakly acidic medium. What way reaction takes place with weakly acidic medium? I've already told you how exactly reaction takes place. So the nucleophile in this case is NHZ. So this gets attached like this. To the carbonyl carbon, the nucleophile gets attached. So I can represent it like this, NH single bond Z. And whatever one hydrogen is there, that gets attached to oxygen. So I can represent it like this, it is a OH. So this is the product formed. Now this molecule undergoes rapid dehydration, undergoes a rapid dehydration. So what way it undergoes a rapid dehydration? You see here, the carbon atom is connected to two highly electronegative atoms like oxygen and nitrogen by means of single bonds. The molecule has to be highly unstable. In order to gain stability, it has to lose a molecule of water. So what happens? This bond between nitrogen and hydrogen gets shifted over here. So this bond should get shifted this way. Or in other words, from here hydrogen goes out as H plus, from here OH goes out as OH minus. So here H plus, here OH minus. So a molecule of water is removed. As a result, the product formed is a carbon with two unsatisfied bonds, single bond nitrogen, and then Z. So this is the final product that is formed. Or in other words, if you look at the starting substances and the final product, what is the net equation that I can write? I'll have carbonyl group like this, ammonia derivative, I'm going to write as NH2Z. Reaction has to take place in weakly acidic medium. So I can remove one oxygen from here and two nitrohydrogens from NH2 group of ammonia derivatives. So we get carbon double bond NZ. Along with that, a molecule of water is formed. Now, depending upon the Z group, we can consider various ammonia derivatives. In the first case, I am going to consider Z to be equal to NH2. The compound will be NH2 single bond NH2. And the compound NH2 single bond NH2 is called hydrazine. Hydrazine. So under ammonia derivatives, the first derivative I consider is hydrazine. What's the formula of hydrazine? It is a NH2 single bond NH2. Here, what is a Z group? Z group is nothing but single bond NH2. So let us write the equation with hydrazine, carbonyl compound, C double bond O, ammonia derivative, hydrazine NH2 single bond NH2, right? Reaction is carried out in weakly acidic medium. I've already told you how to arrive at the final product. It is a O and two hydrogens will go. So this results in the formation of carbon. You have two bonds. It's a double bond N. It is single bond NH2. And what else is formed here? H2O is formed plus H2O. Right? Now, what is the name of the compound? If suppose I start from aldehyde, I'll start with the name of the aldehyde. Or if I start from ketone, I start from name of the ketone, and that should be followed by the name hydrazone. So the reagent is hydrazine. The final product formed is hydrazone of an aldehyde or ketone. So let me write a specific examples. I start from acetaldehyde. So acetaldehyde is CH3CH. You have double bond O. Plus I am going to treat it with the hydrazine. It is a NH2 single bond NH2. Hydrazine. Right? So what way reaction takes place? You see, from here oxygen will go. From this side two hydrogens will go. So the product formed in this case is called acetaldehyde hydrazone along with water. Name of the compound, acetaldehyde hydrazone. In the same way, we can write the equation for the reaction between acetone and hydrazine. So acetone, I'll write it like this. It is a CH3C double bond O CH3. Acetone. So same way, I'll write the equation with hydrazine, NH2 single bond NH2. You know what way reaction takes place? From here oxygen will go. This side two hydrogens will go. What about the product formed? The product formed will be CH3C. You have CH3, it's a double bond N, single bond NH2, plus it is H2O. So what is the name of the product? It has to be acetone hydrazone. Acetone hydrazone. So finally, I can say that whenever a carbonyl compound is treated with hydrazine, the product obtained is hydrazone. The next reaction we consider is between carbonyl compound and phenyl hydrazine. Phenyl hydrazine is actually a derivative of hydrazine. You know, hydrazine, the formula is NH2 single bond NH2. Here one hydrogen atom is replaced by phenyl group. So what should we get then? We have to get NH2 NHC6H5, that is nothing but phenyl hydrazine. The equation can be written as we have written in the previous case. Carbonyl compound, we write it with NH2 NH with a phenyl group, right? And the reaction is carried out in weakly acidic medium, you can write the equation very easily by following the steps whatever I have told earlier. So we should have carbon here, 2 bonds, and then it's a double bond NH, and then we will have C6H5. Along with that, we have to get a molecule of water. So the product obtained in this case is called aldehyde or ketone phenylhydrazone. The product is called phenylhydrazone. We shall consider one example. Let us say consider acetone this time. I can write the equation with any aldehyde or any ketone. So this time I'll consider, let us say, acetone and write the equation with phenylhydrazine. So from here oxygen will go, from here 2 hydrogens will go. So the product obtained is CH3CH3, and we have a double bond N, then we'll have NH. After that we have a phenyl group like this. In addition to that, what we get is water. And whatever product is obtained in this case is called acetone phenylhydrazone. The next ammonia derivative I consider is 2,4-DNP. 2,4-DNP is also called Brady's reagent, or it is also called Borch reagent. So what is the structure of 2,4-DNP? The long form is 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. Now, knowing the name, writing the structure is simpler. It's a derivative of phenylhydrazine. How do we write the structure of phenylhydrazine? NH2, NH. Then there will be a phenyl group attached to it. So this is position number 1. This will be position number 2, on which we have NO2 group, and you will have one more NO2 group at position number 4. So this is the structure of 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. Now this 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine is made to react with any carbonyl compound. In other words, any aldehyde or ketone. So reaction takes place in the same way as I explained in the previous case. So from here oxygen will go, from here 2 hydrogens will go. So what about the product form? You have 2 carbon, it's a double bond N, single bond NH. Thereafter I should have a phenyl group this way. And then here you have NO2, and here I should have NO2. Along with that I have to get water. Now whatever product is obtained is called aldehyde or ketone 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazone. Now this 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazone product will have either it is a yellow color, or it has to be orange red crystalline precipitate. So, it's very clear whenever any carbonyl compound, when I say carbonyl compound, it can be an aldehyde or it can be a ketone. When we treat it with 2,4-DNP, we get a yellow or orange red crystalline precipitate. We get yellow or orange red crystalline precipitate. So this confirms the presence of a carbonyl group. In other words, this reagent is used to detect a carbonyl functional group in any organic molecule. So any carbonyl compound, when treated with 2,4-DNP, we get either yellow or orange red crystalline precipitate. The next ammonia derivative I consider is hydroxylamine. I'll write the equation, start from carbonyl group, treat it with hydroxylamine NH2OH. As I told you earlier, reaction should be carried out in weakly acidic medium. You know how to write the structure of the final product. Oxygen from carbonyl group and 2 hydrogens from NH2 of ammonia derivative must be removed. In the final product, we will have a carbonyl carbon followed by double bond. Then we have nitrogen and then OH. So we get a water molecule as the byproduct. What is the product formed here? So the product formed is called oxime. It is called oxime. If suppose you start from aldehyde, I call it as aldoxime. Aldehyde oxime, it is called aldoxime. If you start from ketone, the product obtained is called ketone oxime. In short, I call it as ketoxime. The one mark question that is asked on this concept is, what is an oxime? You know, oxime is the condensation product due to the reaction between a carbonyl compound and hydroxylamine. So oxime is a condensation product due to the reaction between a carbonyl compound and hydroxylamine. Now, if we start from aldehyde, we call it as aldoxime. If we start from ketone, we call it as ketoxime. So if I consider the example, I'll start from, let us say, acetaldehyde, CH3C double bond OH. Make it to react with hydroxylamine. It is a NH2OH. So what about the product formed? You have a carbon, thereafter it is a CH3, single bond H. It is a double bond N, OH. In addition to that, we get water. So, starting from acetaldehyde, we are going to get this oxime. Name of this oxime is acetaldehyde oxime. We call it as acetaldoxime. Name is slightly different. We do not say acetaldehyde oxime, we say acetaldoxime. Now, in the same way, it is possible to write the equation for the reaction of hydroxylamine with the different aldehydes and ketones. Now, if suppose I start from formaldehyde, whatever product is obtained is called formaldoxime. For acetaldehyde, I have already written acetaldoxime. So if I go with, let us say, benzaldehyde, the product obtained is called benzaldoxime. Then, if we start from acetone, the product obtained is acetone oxime. In short, we call it as acetoxime. And Finally, if suppose you start from acetophenone C6H5COCH3, this is nothing but acetophenone. The product obtained is called acetophenoxime. So you have to be clear with the name of the product. Of course, writing equation is very, very easy. The last ammonia derivative we are going to consider is semicarbazide. We'll consider the reaction with the semicarbazide, which is one more ammonia derivative. The equation can be written very easily, just like the previous cases. It's C double bond O, then we have NH2, thereafter it is a NHCONH2. So this is called semicarbazide. If you look at the Z group, so this is Z group. What is Z group? NHCONH2. In other words, the basic group here is actually urea. NH2CONH2 is urea, from which I have replaced one hydrogen atom. So just like the previous case, we consider reaction in weakly acidic medium. So one oxygen and two hydrogens get removed. And what we get is C double bond N. It is NHCONH2. Along with that, we get a molecule of water. And whatever product is obtained, if we start from aldehyde, we call it as aldehyde semicarbazone. If we start from aldehyde, or if I start from ketone, I call it as a ketone semicarbazone. We can write a specific example. This time I consider, though I can write it with any aldehyde or ketone, this time as an example, I am going to consider acetone, bring about a reaction with the semicarbazide. So a molecule of water is removed, and the major product that is obtained is and name of this product is acetone semicarbazone. Acetone semicarbazone. Acetone semicarbazone. Right? Now, one important question that you have to answer under this is, just look at the structure of semicarbazide. If you look at the structure of semicarbazide, on either side you have NH2 group. So here you have NH2 group which can condense with C double bond O. Even on the right hand side of CO you have NH2 group. We expect even this NH2 group to undergo condensation with C double bond O. Now the question is, out of these two NH2 groups, which one will undergo condensation with C double bond O and why not the other one? Now if you look at the structure very closely, you will observe that this nitrogen is a nucleophilic, because on this nitrogen the lone pair of electrons are readily available. On the other hand, if you consider NH2, which is adjacent to C double bond O, it is a non-nucleophilic. Why is it non-nucleophilic? Because if you consider the structure over there, you have C double bond O NH2. So on this nitrogen, whatever lone pair of electrons are there, they get involved in a resonance with a carbonyl group. So what we get here is a single bond CO minus. Here you will have a double bond NH2. On nitrogen you will have a positive charge. So the nitrogen, the NH2, which is adjacent to C double bond O, cannot act as a nucleophile, as the lone pair of electrons present on nitrogen atom gets involved in conjugation or resonance with carbonyl group. That is why when you consider the other NH2 group, which is adjacent to NH, this NH2, lone pair of electrons on this NH2 is readily available because it is not involved in conjugation. That's why whenever we write the equation with carbonyl group, we have to ensure that the two hydrogen atoms of that NH2 group should be removed, which is adjacent to NH, and not from NH2 group which is adjacent to C double bond O.